I got involved in the humanities lab because Michael Cramp asked me in the fall if I would be interested in teaching a course in conjunction with another person from outside of my department, because I'm in biological sciences. And I said, sure. And so in the middle, before we even got to the shutdown, Amanda came and said, we have some money and I want you to meet this artist that I know, and we have money to do a humanities lab in the summer. Would you like to work with her? And I said, sure. And so we started talking. I have been working, I know this is a much longer answer, but this is how all the pieces come together. I have been working with students for the past 4 or 5 years to write textbook chapters. And I started doing textbook chapter work because for a bunch of different reasons, including the fact that the cost of textbooks is ridiculous. It is beyond, why would you pay $500 for a book that you will probably never use again? Like, what is that, right? So, I got into this with somebody in the library. I can tell you more about that, but that was one piece of it. The second one was I had a course that I normally ran where the students helped design the course. They would tell me what things they wanted to learn about, and then I would put the course together. And it was on neuroscience and behavior, and so they could pick anything. I only had 5 kids in the class. So I said, okay, why don't we do something I wanted to do? Why don't we write a textbook? Because there was no way to have those students. What I was doing with the class before was I would have the students suggest topics, and then they would research the topics. I would do an overview for that topic, and then they would give a presentation on it. Well, if you have 5 students in the class, it's going to get really boring really quickly, and everybody's going to get burned out, and that's going to be the end of it. So we decided we would write a chapter instead, which is kind of the same idea, but because it's a chapter, you have to drill down into just one subject. But when I talked to Deirdre and Amanda, they were like, well, this would be perfect. I said, what we need are illustrations, because we were going to put these chapters, and we're still planning to do this, into an open access network, so that people can just, in an open access resource network, you can just download whatever's there, and you can do anything you want to it as long as you give people credit for what you're doing. But because of that and everything being copyrighted, you can't just pull pictures off the web and stick them in a chapter and then put that chapter up there. So that was what we kept running into, was that when you're doing a textbook, you really need illustrations to help people understand what the work is that you're referring to. What I want to do is just put the chapters up there to stand alone. And then if people want to take them and add them or subtract them from a textbook that they are creating, because you can go to this site and just pull whatever you want and put it into whatever you want, because it's open access. And so if I can do that, I'll just mount them. So the circadian one is already up there, and it's just up there. Anybody can have it. It doesn't have the pictures in it yet, but you can constantly go in and there's nothing permanent about it, because it's not a print, it's just online. The sleep one we need to work on, and the parenting one really needs work. And when we get those 2 together, then I will also put them up. The short answer is no. I have never worked with artists before. The longer answer is, when I was younger, when I was your age, when I was younger, when we did our scientific papers, we did all the illustrations. So we didn't have computers at the time. We had computers, but not like personal computers. So when you would do your statistics and get your data, you would sit with a rapidograph, which I actually have rapidographs here. There are these very nice fancy pens that have different widths. And you would draw your graph, and then that would be the illustration that went into the paper. I mean, and I think as scientists, we should really invest more in having more scientific illustration done by actual artists, because they give you perspective and a little bit more realism that helps you get closer to, it helps the reader get closer to the idea you're trying to get across. I hope the Humanities Lab keeps doing this. I hope that we can get more people involved in this. I do intend to put some kind of scientific research paper out on what we did so more people can see this. What we're actually doing is called STEAM. So you have the STEM plus art is STEAM. And so there's more and more journals devoted to STEAM. And so I'm going to hopefully get this out there because people should see this as a way of educating students, bringing artists together with scientists. And my one regret is that we weren't doing this during the actual class. I think it would have been harder to do because the students were working on the text. And so then you don't have anything to illustrate if there's no text there. But I am anxious to show this to the students that are still around and say, this is what we did with the ideas that you wrote. This is where we came with those ideas, and see what they think about it, because it's really amazing what they did with them. And I am really glad I did it. I would love to do it again.